Back to you, Sean.
Well, worse is relative in some regards for everybody, for sure. I'm just hoping we don't get the frozen rain. We're all flat, and people drive too fast on frozen rain, but the snow seems to slow them down out here, Terry. That's all we're worried about. Otherwise, waiting to get socked in for a little bit and get that kind of cold, still, quiet night and maybe enjoy some of that brisk part of Christmas season being around the corner. My YL is all about Christmas now, so the house is definitely getting ready to transform. Other than that, I'm just messing around with the canine in here. I'm getting him socialized a little bit. He actually enjoys being in the shack more than he does being in a kennel, go figure. But I get paid to do this, so he's keeping my feet warm, and we're playing radio there. Over.
Hey, well, that sounds like a pretty good deal. Yeah, a nice foot warmer. I just fired up my little propane heater. My shack is out in the garden shed, about 50 feet from the house, and I have, for the last 15 or 20 years, operated as a maritime mobile and was living in a condominium in town and consequently couldn't have a station. But I bought some acreage and we recently moved out here. And when I put in my garden shed, I decided that, well, it's going to be my ham shack. And I know from operating at sea how sweet it is to have those absolutely minimal noise floors that come from not being surrounded by AC appliances. So this is a solar setup. I have a solar panel, a regulator, and a battery bank, and that's kind of the system here. Running an IC 7300 barefoot up to a fan dipole, 80-40 meter fan dipole, up maybe 30 feet in the air. Basic, very simple setup, but I was anxious to get on the air as soon as we got to this property. I threw some wires up into the tree and got on the air. N7ECV, N7RSS.
All right, N7RSS, N7ECV, 100% copy through the dime bags there just above us, QRM and everything. I heard you 100%. That's good. You're 100 watts, and your antenna are doing really good in adverse conditions, man. I'd pat yourself on the back for it. I hear a lot of fan dipoles out on the air the last month or so. A lot of people are working those antennas, and they seem to be doing excellent. I've got the cookie cutter ICOM 7300 with a PAR NFED's 1 kilowatt all band NFED antenna, and I've got the Meritron 811 Hotel. No tuner needed, so we're about 420 watts straight out the wire this afternoon. Over.
Yeah, well, you're doing a good job here. I never did give you a signal report. You're about, you're 5'9", and you're peaking at about 10 or 20 over. So, excellent signal there. You're pounding out. And hey, I got a question for you. I haven't spent a whole lot of time on 40 meters. Have the bands on 40 been okay? And is it still? Do you get the best results operating late at night?
You know, every night I'm almost on the Triple H net at midnight Pacific time here. And they were good for that contest weekend. They were okay. They were better the weekend before. It's going through like a 3-week cycle, 4-week cycle almost, where it is kind of up and down for the DX on the sideband. At nighttime, I have noticed all the way around, if you read a MUF map, a maximum usable frequency map, and can understand the colors like on your ham clock or something, so when it's nighttime and you're supposed to be working the low bands are the ones that are going where they're supposed to be going as far as my propagation reports are concerned. And then the high bands are doing what they're supposed to be doing. So I would say, to answer that question, the bands are working. It depends on what mode you're in. And then for sideband, it's getting there. Over.
I appreciate those comments. usually when I get an opportunity to do a little bit of ham radioing is in the middle of the afternoon, and I typically head for 17 meters just because you can get, really far with very little power and a very simple setup, and it's a nice relaxed band to work. I'm not a contester, so 20 when 17 fails, and then 40. In the past, in years past, not this solar sleep, but the previous one, I've had very good luck on 40 meters, working the East Coast, in the early evening, 8, 10 o'clock at night, and I'm sure it's not that good yet, but it sounds like maybe it's getting in that direction. Back to you, Sean.
It is. I will tell you, I became a ham in 1993. And, everybody was saying, conditions, blah, 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 the solar cycle, it's just, for years. So there was no real push to put people on a radio in the HF realm, where I was from anyway. So I went from 93 to 2007 before I got on the air. So, of course, it was neat for me, right, to play. But monitoring all those years, I have never heard 10 meter as good as it's been consistently. I would hear it for 2 or 3 days and then not for months, consistently every day. I check the bands, every one of them, and you can pretty much look at a usable frequency map and go, okay, this is where I'm going to point my beam. And if you're that type of setup, you're going to work. And I'm a QRP guy, so it's been really fun for me to kind of endure that there. Are you copying me okay still, over?
Oh, yeah. You're pounding right through, no problem whatsoever. Excellent armchair copy. So, yeah. I have worked QRP in the past. It is fun. I remember one night having a CWQSO with some guy in Victoria. The bands were just absolutely dead. They had shut down completely for the night, but I sent a CQ out and got this guy come back. Turned out he was in Victoria. He wasn't any more than, maybe 40 miles from me. But we just kept cranking the power down, and pretty soon we were both at the absolute minimum power our rigs would allow, which was like, 2-3 watts. And it was just crystal clear. Short distance, granted, but it was a lot of fun. And I used to have a 10-tech 555, and that runs 50 watts, but it was still fun. Fun to play with. Nice portable rig to take with you.
Yeah, I can imagine. I would enjoy that too. QRP is just a good time for me. I enjoy it. I just got this amplifier not too long ago so I can keep working net control for a few different nets. And boy, I put it in line, and there it is. It's mine, and I've got a Commander 2500 in the weight there for me to get 220 in the shack. So I'm well prepared for power anymore, but QRP is where it's at for me. If I'm going to do any type of outdoor play or content, anything like that, it's 5 watts or less and having a good time. And then anything I do in a digital mode, other than slow scan TV, is QRP 10 watts or less. So I have a lot of fun doing that stuff. Hey, so what got you interested in radio? This is November 7, Echo Charlie Victor. Over.
Yeah, I got interested in ham radio, in electronics when I was in high school. And I was fortunate that the high school I went to had an electronics class available that I took. And I actually studied for a ham radio license, learned the code, could have passed the test, but got distracted and never followed through. Must have been girls or something caught my eye. And did not return to the hobby till I was, I know it's on record, but I don't honestly remember when I got back interested in ham radio, but I was probably in my late 30s, 40s, and I'm an electrical engineer, retired. So yeah, it's always fascinated me just the entire magic of being able to take a black box and hang a wire in the air and being able to talk to somebody, on the other side of the world has always fascinated me, and the magic hasn't left. N7ECV, N7RSS.
That is so cool. Oh, man. That's so cool. That's how I was, too. Just, wow, you mean I can wrap a wire around a tube with a crystal and do what with it? I wish I would have been able to pursue a career in electronics, but hey, I found myself here doing this as a hobby now, and it's been a good time. How long have you been a ham? Over?
Well, I'm trying to remember. I'm 70 now, so I don't know. It's been maybe 25, close to 30 years, something like that. I'm not real sure. I suppose if I go and I look it up, I suppose there is a way to look it up online, but I'm not quite sure how to do that.
Copy that. Boy, if it crosses my mind when I'm on a website again, I'll punch it in there and send you an email. No worries, no big deal. Not like you got to show any proof to have a good chat. So a ham this long, have you got a favorite mode? What's the most nostalgic mode for you that you can think of when you're smiling, drinking coffee in the morning? Over?
That's a good question. I used to work an awful lot of CW with, I've worked with a straight key, although I did get an electronic keyer, and I do have that. But these days I've gotten kind of lazy, and sideband is what I do. Data modes don't particularly interest me that much, partly because I did a lot of that professionally, and it just doesn't hold the allure that sideband and talking to somebody does. So it's been, between those two, CW and sideband have been my mainstays.
Oh, very good. Yeah, I got a straight key here. I was okay and starting to get proficient with it years ago, but I ended up getting real crazy tremors in my good hand, even my bad hand. But so anyway, a straight key is kind of out of the running for me, but my paddle is showing up sometime this week, man, and I'm finally going to jump on CW and really start pounding some brass high, just side slapping it, I guess. But I can hold a paddle down and use my right hand, and I'm a drummer and a bass player, right? So I've got the rhythm to do the daws and the dits and the daws sideways like that, and it really just connected for me. There was years ago, I used to talk with friends at my place. We'd send back and forth with an old MFJ keyer. It's good stuff, man. It's pretty neat. I can imagine there just what it was like growing up and kind of evolving from CW into sideband and where things are today. Boy, I got videos out of some of the new digital stuff. It would blow your mind. They're doing a lot of stuff we've already done before, but in digital modes, and 1.5 on the bandwidth for these signals that'll send text and pictures down your waterfall, and it's just, that's how you're going to grab the youth, I think. Have you got any advice for new hams today? If you were in front of a group of new hams that were standing around, jecks or generals, whatever, you got a piece of advice you'd hand over to them before they walked out the door? Over?
I think I would talk to them basically what I talked to you about, and that is the magic of what it is we do. There's the technology side, of course, and there's I'm a technologist, so I could speak to that. But I think what really resonates with people is the magic of picking up a mic and being able to talk to someone with a box and a wire. It's just so cool.
Ain't it though, man? Ain't it so cool? Yeah, I got a kick out of being able to hear stuff from around the world, and nobody could understand why I thought it was neat. And then what really sealed it as a teenager for me was auto patch on a 2-meter handheld. A phone patch, man, what? You can do what? And we were out in the middle of nowhere. There's no such thing as cell phones when all that fired up. You can do what? I am doing this right now, man. So it was an amazing thing for me. So what, in your eyes, in your mind, what's the future of ham radio to you? What do you think the future of ham, if you finish the sentence for me, the future of ham radio is ? Over.
Yeah, it's probably going to be more digital modes, data and television and those sorts of things, but for me, that's not really where it's at, but that's probably where it's headed. So, Sean, the noise level is creeping up and the QRM is getting worse, so I'm going to put an end to this. I appreciate your coming back to me. Thank you so much for that. And it's good to work 40 meters again. So I will be clear on your final. November 7, Echo Charlie Victor. November 7, Romeo Sierra Sierra.
Yeah, funny how those guys are bullies no matter how they want to be. One passive-aggressive knuckleheads. I'll tell you what, a 40 meter is open, starts at about 4:30 in the morning at 7194-ish around there, and goes up the band to the noontime net at 7284 at noon Pacific time. There's stuff nets all day, all morning through there, and then the 7240 swap net is still Saturday and Sunday around 12 or 12:30. I can't remember, but that's a 2-hour net. Hour or two. Anyway, it's a long net. You can catch the swap net still on 7240. Welcome back to 40 meter and the hobby in itself. And thanks for chatting with me. It's really nice to sit here and make new friends, right before chow there. Hi. Nice to meet you, Terry. You and the YL have a great evening, and I hope to catch you on another band. Over.
Okay, Sean, thank you so much. I appreciate that. 73 to you and yours. And do have a good evening, and thank you once again. N7RSS, clear with N7ECV. 73.
Yeah, satisfactory. Good conversation, even with knuckleheads all around us, man. This is November 7, Echo Charlie Victor. I'm going to just throw the frequency back to the wolves. Those guys can have it.